Hi, friends. Today I've prepared a very useful topic for you. Over 60? Eat these 3 cheeses to rebuild muscle and fight sarcopenia. Senior health tips. Let's go. Cheese often gets a bad rap. It's frequently labeled as too high in fat, excessively salty, or simply an over-the-top indulgence. But what if I were to tell you that particular types of cheese, if selected with care, could be instrumental in helping you rebuild your muscle tissue after the age of 65? It's true. The solution to combating age-related muscle decline, or sarcopenia, might just be residing in your refrigerator, inconspicuously wrapped in parchment, poised to astonish you. In this discussion, I will outline 3 distinct cheeses that are packed with the proteins, fats, and essential nutrients your maturing muscles are crying out for. These are not the typical cheeses you grab for a quick snack. They are potent, natural aids for muscle restoration that medical professionals and scientific researchers are increasingly and quietly endorsing for seniors. Stay with me until the conclusion, and I will detail precisely how to incorporate them into your diet for maximum strength benefits with minimal risk. I've uncovered something remarkable. The appropriate kind of cheese isn't merely safe to eat. It can be one of the most powerful foods for maintaining muscle mass after you pass the age of 65. Sarcopenia, the stealthy loss of muscle that impacts millions of Americans, with some estimates suggesting it affects over 10% of adults over 50. And its prevalence climbing significantly with age is not an unavoidable fate. Today, I'm going to demonstrate how 3 delicious, common cheeses can assist you in remaining strong, stable, and self-sufficient for much longer than you might have imagined. So, I suggest you get a notepad and pen, because you will certainly want to take notes on this. Let's begin with cottage cheese. I can guess what might be crossing your mind. The thought of cottage cheese might transport you back to outdated diet fads of the 1980s. But this unassuming dairy product is, in fact, one of the most formidable muscle-fortifying foods accessible to older individuals. Here is the breakdown of what makes cottage cheese so extraordinary. When you consume just a half-cup portion of low-fat cottage cheese, you are providing your body with 14 grams of premium quality protein for a mere 81 calories. This translates to nearly 70% of the caloric content of cottage cheese being derived from protein. When you set that against a standard like cheddar cheese, where protein accounts for only about 20% of its calories, it becomes clear why cottage cheese operates in a class all its own. However, the benefit isn't solely about the quantity of protein. Cottage cheese is packed with over 1 gram of a substance known as leucine in every half-cup serving. You can think of leucine as the ignition switch that starts your body's muscle-building machinery. As we advance in age, our muscles become more resistant to growth signals, and they require a greater amount of leucine to receive the directive to build. It's generally accepted that older adults need approximately 3 grams of leucine with each meal to effectively stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Therefore, a single serving of cottage cheese already gets you about 1/3 of the way to that crucial threshold. What I truly appreciate about cottage cheese for my older patients is its sheer ease of consumption. A great many tell me they struggle with chewing tougher cuts of meat or that their appetite has diminished over the years. Cottage cheese presents a perfect solution. It's soft, has a creamy consistency, and is exceptionally gentle on the digestive tract. You can enjoy it directly out of the tub, blend it with fruit for a morning meal, or even incorporate it into smoothies, where its presence becomes virtually undetectable. The protein found in cottage cheese is predominantly a type called casein. This is a critical detail for older adults. Casein is what nutritional scientists refer to as a slow-release protein, meaning it delivers a consistent supply of amino acids to your muscles over a period of 6 to 8 hours. It's akin to having a time-release capsule protecting your muscles, working for you throughout the day. This quality is particularly beneficial at night time, as consuming cottage cheese before you go to sleep can help inhibit the body's natural tendency to break down muscle tissue during your nightly fast. Research on this is truly compelling. Studies that have included close to 1,000 elderly participants have demonstrated that those who integrated cottage cheese into their daily diet achieved significant gains in muscle mass over time. The slow assimilating casein protein was found to be especially potent at preserving muscle during times when individuals were not particularly physically active. Now, allow me to offer some tangible ways to incorporate cottage cheese into your routine. For your morning meal, consider mixing it with assorted berries and a light stream of honey. The inherent sweetness creates a delightful flavor, and the pairing provides you with both protein and antioxidants. If your palate leans toward savory tastes, combine cottage cheese with diced tomatoes, cucumber, and fresh herbs such as dill or chives for your midday meal. It can serve as a protein-dense foundation for various dips or spreads. Come dinner time, it integrates wonderfully into baked casseroles or can act as a lighter alternative to ricotta in Italian-style pasta dishes. Should you find the texture challenging at first, I suggest blending it with fruit to create a protein-fortified smoothie. I assure you, you won't taste the cottage cheese, but you will reap all of its muscle-enhancing rewards. Some of my patients even use it as a direct replacement for mayonnaise in their chicken or tuna salads. For optimal outcomes, I recommend a daily intake of half a cup to a full cup, and I particularly advocate for consuming it at breakfast, following an overnight fast. Your muscles are in their most receptive state for protein intake first thing in the morning. That morning portion of cottage cheese can prime your body for superior muscle development. Throughout the entire day, our second powerhouse is Parmesan cheese, a true form of concentrated nutrition. Now, let's delve into our second champion of muscle construction. This one may come as a surprise to you. It's Parmesan cheese, or as it's known in Italy, Parmigiano Reggiano. You might typically view Parmesan as a simple topping to be sprinkled over a plate of spaghetti. However, this aged cheese is actually one of the most nutrient-packed, muscle-supporting foods you can possibly find. The remarkable thing about Parmesan is this: a mere 1-ounce portion, which is roughly the size of your thumb, is loaded with over 10 grams of complete protein. This density makes it one of the most protein-rich of all cheeses available. For older adults who may be consuming smaller meal portions than they did in their youth, This incredible concentration of nutrients is invaluable. But this is where Parmesan's story becomes truly fascinating. Throughout its aging process, which, for authentic Parmesan, lasts a minimum of 24 months, a very special transformation occurs. The natural enzymes present in the cheese methodically break down the proteins into smaller, more easily assimilated components. It's almost as if the cheese has been pre-digested on your behalf, which makes it significantly easier on your stomach and entire digestive system. This is a critical advantage for older adults because, as we age, our digestive functions often don't operate with the same efficiency as they once did. A common complaint I hear from my patients is a feeling of bloating or discomfort after consuming foods high in protein. Yet, Parmesan, thanks to its distinct aging process, is remarkably gentle and easy for the body to process. In fact, after undergoing 2 years of aging, authentic Parmesan contains practically zero lactose, meaning even individuals with lactose intolerance can typically enjoy it without experiencing any adverse effects. Parmesan isn't just a one-trick pony focused on protein, though. This cheese is also a veritable powerhouse of calcium. A single 1-ounce serving delivers 331 milligrams of calcium, which accounts for about 25% of your recommended daily intake. Now, you might be thinking that calcium is primarily for bone health, and you'd be right. But your muscles are also heavily reliant on calcium. Every single contraction your muscles make requires calcium to execute properly. Without an adequate supply of calcium, your muscles simply cannot perform at their peak, regardless of how much protein you are consuming. This is especially vital considering that government health data indicates a substantial number of older Americans fail to meet their daily calcium needs, jeopardizing both bone integrity and muscle contractility. Recent research has uncovered something captivating about the link between calcium and muscle deterioration in older adults. Individuals who fail to get enough calcium each day face a markedly higher risk of losing muscle mass as they get older. So, when you enjoy a serving of Parmesan, you aren't just getting the protein needed to build muscle. You are also supplying the essential calcium those muscles require to contract effectively. I know what some of you may be considering. Authentic Parmigiano Reggiano can be on the pricier side. But here's the reality about Parmesan. Because its nutritional content is so dense, you genuinely don't need to consume a large amount. Just 1 to 2 ounces per day is sufficient to have a meaningful impact on your muscle health. That equates to only about 2 tablespoons when you grate it fresh. And speaking of grating it fresh, this is an extremely important point. Those pre-grated products sold in plastic shakers simply cannot hold a candle to the real deal. When you grate Parmesan fresh from a block, you get a superior flavor profile, better nutritional value, and you'll discover that you are satisfied with smaller quantities because the taste is so much more intense and complex. Allow me to offer some simple methods for integrating Parmesan into your daily meals. For breakfast, try grating it over your scrambled eggs. This combination will provide you with over 20 grams of protein to kickstart your day with strength. At lunchtime, sprinkle it liberally over your soups and salads. It's rich. Savory umami flavor enhances the taste of everything. For your evening meal, use it as a topping for roasted vegetables or to create a simple, protein-heavy gratin with cauliflower or broccoli. You can even enjoy small chunks of parmesan as a standalone snack, perhaps paired with a few nuts or a piece of fruit. The combination of protein, calcium, and its deep flavor makes it an incredibly satisfying choice. When you're shopping, look for wheels that are stamped with Parmigiano Reggiano in a distinctive dot pattern around the rind. It is well worth the investment in the authentic product because its superior nutrition and flavor mean you'll be content with smaller portions, making it quite cost-effective in the long run. The third secret weapon in our arsenal is ricotta cheese, the fast-acting muscle builder. Our third muscle-fortifying cheese is ricotta, and this particular one holds a very special secret that sets it apart from all other cheeses. Ricotta is produced from whey, which is the liquid component that is separated out during the production of other cheeses like mozzarella and provolone. This might make it sound like a mere byproduct, but this origin actually endows ricotta with some incredible properties for muscle development. Let me clarify why this is so significant. When you consume most other cheeses, you are primarily ingesting casein protein, which, as we discussed, digests slowly over several hours. But ricotta contains a substantial amount of whey protein, and whey protein is the most rapidly absorbed type of protein you can consume. Your body can assimilate and begin utilizing whey protein within 30 to 60 minutes of you eating it. For the purpose of building muscle in older adults, this speed of absorption is a critical factor. Think of it in this context. If you've just come back from a walk around the block or have spent some time doing light work in the garden, your muscles are primed and ready, waiting for nutrients to begin the repair process. When you eat ricotta, those swiftly absorbed proteins are delivered to your muscles promptly, precisely when they can be used most effectively. A half-cup serving of whole milk ricotta gives you 14 grams of protein, a quantity similar to cottage cheese, but it comes with a different amino acid profile. Ricotta is especially abundant in what scientists refer to as branched-chain amino acids, or BCAA letters. These unique amino acids possess a special ability to travel directly to your muscle tissue, completely bypassing processing by your liver. They get straight to the business of muscle repair and growth. What makes ricotta particularly valuable for older adults is its incredibly smooth and creamy texture. Many of my patients who contend with dental problems or have difficulties swallowing find ricotta much more manageable to eat than other sources of protein. It has a naturally mild flavor, so it doesn't overpower the other components of a dish, and it mixes beautifully into both sweet and savory recipes. Ricotta is also inherently lower in sodium than the majority of other cheeses. It contains only about 100 milligrams of sodium per half-cup serving, a stark contrast to the over 400 milligrams found in many other common cheeses. This is a vital consideration because a large number of older adults must be mindful of their sodium consumption for the sake of their heart health and to manage blood pressure. The research surrounding ricotta is especially impressive. In one particular study, participants who consumed approximately 3/4 of a cup of ricotta each day didn't just see an increase in their muscle mass. They also demonstrated improved scores on balance tests and enhanced overall physical performance. The male participants in the study exhibited particularly striking improvements in their muscle strength in as little as 90 days. But there is another benefit to ricotta that is frequently overlooked. The whey protein contained in ricotta has been demonstrated to help lower blood pressure and improve overall cardiovascular health. This is supported by broader research, including studies in prominent nutrition journals, which have shown whey protein can lead to modest but clinically relevant reductions in blood pressure. So, with ricotta, you're not just building muscle, you're actively supporting the health of your heart at the same time. For older adults, this dual advantage is incredibly valuable. Ricotta is astonishingly versatile in the kitchen. Unlike cottage cheese, which possesses a very distinct curd-like texture, ricotta is smooth and creamy with a gentle flavor that is compatible with almost anything. For a morning meal, try combining ricotta with a little honey and a dash of cinnamon, and then spreading it on a piece of whole grain toast. It's like enjoying a protein-enhanced version of cream cheese. For lunch, ricotta serves as an excellent foundation for dips. Mix it with fresh herbs and use it as a dip for fresh vegetables, or spread it in sandwiches as a substitute for mayonnaise. At dinner time, ricotta can be used as a stuffing for vegetables like bell peppers or zucchini, layered into casseroles, or blended into pasta sauces to impart a creamy texture and a protein boost. You can even use ricotta in your desserts. Mix it with a bit of cocoa powder and honey to create a healthy chocolate mousse, or blend it with various fruits for a smoothie that's packed with protein. Some of my patients even incorporate ricotta into their baking, replacing a portion of the flour in recipes for pancakes or muffins to increase the protein content. When you are purchasing ricotta, I recommend opting for the whole milk variety to get the maximum protein and satiety. The part-skim versions are lower in calories, but they may not deliver the same level of muscle-building benefits. Look for brands with a minimal list of ingredients, typically just milk, vinegar or citric acid, and salt. The optimal time to consume ricotta is within 2 hours following any type of physical activity. Even something as gentle as gardening or taking a brisk walk. Because of its fast-absorbing whey protein, ricotta ensures a rapid delivery of amino acids to your muscles during that critical window, when they are most receptive to repair and growth. Now that you're familiar with which cheeses to select, let's discuss the timing of when you eat them. This is crucial because timing can make an enormous difference in how effectively they work for your body. This is an area where recent scientific inquiry has brought to light some fascinating insights that challenge what many people have traditionally believed about meal patterns. For many years, we've been conditioned to think that dinner should be the most substantial meal of our day. However, when the goal is building and preserving muscle after the age of 65, breakfast actually represents your most critical opportunity. Here is why this is so important. After you've slept through the night, Your body has been in a fasted state for 8 to 10 hours. Throughout this period, your body has been breaking down muscle tissue to supply the energy needed for its essential functions. Your first meal of the day is your opportunity to flip the metabolic switch from a state of muscle breakdown to one of muscle building. Research clearly demonstrates that older adults who consume 25 to 30 grams of protein at their breakfast meal maintain a much healthier rate of muscle protein synthesis throughout the entire day when compared to those who eat a typical low-protein American breakfast of toast, cereal, or just coffee. And yet, data from national health surveys show that most people over 65 consume only about 8 grams of protein at breakfast. That amount is not nearly enough to initiate the muscle-building process effectively. This is the precise scenario where our 3 select cheeses become incredibly powerful implements. A breakfast that consists of half a cup of cottage cheese mixed with berries, topped off with an ounce of freshly grated Parmesan, provides you with 24 grams of high-quality protein and more than 2 grams of leucine. That is enough to shift your body's metabolism from a catabolic breakdown state to an anabolic building state. But effective timing is not just about breakfast. It's also about how you distribute your protein intake across the entire day. Many older adults fall into what I refer to as the light-heavy consumption pattern. They consume very little protein at breakfast and lunch, and then attempt to compensate by eating a very large portion of meat or fish at dinner. Regrettably, this strategy is not effective for aging muscles. Your muscles have a limit to how much protein they can use at any single time. For the purpose of building new tissue, which is about 25 to 35 grams, if you consume 60 grams of protein at your evening meal, your body cannot simply store the excess protein for later use in muscle repair. It's analogous to trying to water a houseplant by dumping an entire bucket of water on it once a day, instead of providing it with smaller, more regular amounts of water throughout the day. The ideal dietary pattern for combating muscle loss is to evenly distribute your protein, aiming for 25 to 30 grams at each of your main meals. This could look like cottage cheese mixed with fruit for breakfast, a sandwich made with ricotta and vegetables for lunch, and your standard dinner entree enhanced with a topping of freshly grated Parmesan. There's one additional timing secret that can truly amplify your results if you engage in any form of physical activity. Even if it's just a 15-minute walk through your neighborhood or some light gardening, make an effort to eat one of these cheeses within a 2-hour window afterward. Research has conclusively shown that the combination of physical activity followed by protein intake creates a much more potent muscle-building response than either of those elements would produce on its own. This doesn't mean you need to engage in strenuous exercise. Even gentle activities like walking, stretching, or performing household chores count as physical activity for your muscles. The essential takeaway is to consume protein while your muscles are still in that highly responsive state after being active. One of the most frequent questions I receive from my patients is about the precise quantity of cheese they should be consuming each day. Let me provide you with specific, practical guidelines that are based on what the scientific research has shown to be most effective. First, Let's determine your overall daily protein requirement. Current guidelines from leading health organizations. For adults over the age of 65 recommend a daily intake of 0 to 1.2 grams of protein for every kilogram of body weight. To calculate this for yourself, take your weight in pounds and divide it by 2.2 to convert it to kilograms. Then, multiply that number by 1.2. For instance, if you weigh 150 pounds, that is equivalent to about 68 kilograms. Multiplying 68 by 1.2 gives you a daily protein target of approximately 82 grams. Now, you are not expected to get all of this protein from cheese alone. That would not constitute a balanced nutritional plan. However, cheese can contribute a very significant portion, particularly at meals where other sources of protein might be insufficient. Based on the research studies that have yielded the most positive results, here is what I suggest for your daily cheese intake. Aim for 2 to 3 servings of our specified muscle-building cheeses each day, with every serving delivering between 10 to 15 grams of protein. A daily plan might look like this. Half a cup of cottage cheese at breakfast, 1 ounce of Parmesan at lunch, and 1/3 of a cup of ricotta with your dinner. That combination alone will provide you with about 35 to 40 grams of high-quality protein, which is roughly half of your total daily protein requirement. Now, I understand that some of you might be worried about the calories and the fat content. It is true that cheese contains fat, but it's important to remember that we are discussing specific, controlled portions, not eating unlimited quantities. The total caloric intake from these recommended cheese servings would be in the range of 300 to 400 calories per day, which is a very reasonable amount to include as part of a well-rounded diet. The most critical factor for success is consistency. The studies that documented the most impressive improvements in muscle mass had their participants consuming cheese every single day for a period of at least 60 to 90 days. You cannot simply eat cheese once or twice a week and realistically expect to see significant gains in your muscle mass. Think of it in the same way you would think about taking a daily vitamin or medication. It needs to become a regular and established part of your daily routine. I always encourage my patients to view cheese as an investment in their future independence. The small number of additional calories you consume now could be the very thing that makes the difference between being able to easily climb a flight of stairs when you're 80 and struggling with fundamental daily activities. While the research clearly indicates that cheese by itself can help in the fight against muscle loss, combining it with the correct type of exercise creates what scientists refer to as a synergistic effect. The outcomes become substantially greater than what you would achieve from either the cheese or the exercise independently. The form of exercise that is most effective for building muscle is known as resistance training. Now, before you start picturing heavy barbells and complex machinery at a gym, allow me to set your mind at ease. For older adults, resistance training can be as straightforward as repeatedly standing up from a chair and sitting back down, performing push-ups against a wall, or using simple elastic resistance bands. Here is what the research tells us about this powerful pairing. when you perform resistance exercises and then consume one of our designated muscle-building cheeses. Within the subsequent 2-hour window, your muscles respond with much greater vigor than they would to the cheese alone. In fact, this combination has been shown to restore what researchers term a youthful muscle-building response, even in individuals who are over 80 years old. The beauty of this strategy is that you don't need to exercise every single day. Research indicates that engaging in resistance training just 2 to 3 times per week is adequate for maintaining and building muscle, provided you are also consuming sufficient protein. On the days that you don't perform a formal exercise routine, you can and should continue to eat your cheese servings to ensure a steady supply of nutrition to your muscles. Even your everyday activities can count as a form of resistance training. Things like gardening, carrying grocery bags, climbing stairs, and even vigorous housework all deliver the type of muscular stimulus that pairs effectively with your protein intake. The key is to remain active and then properly fuel your muscles with the right nutrients. While cheese can be a formidable tool for constructing muscle, there are several important considerations we need to address, particularly if you have certain pre-existing health conditions or concerns. Let's begin with lactose intolerance, which tends to become more prevalent as we get older. The good news here is that the 3 cheeses we have focused on are generally much better tolerated than a glass of regular milk. Aged Parmesan, as we've noted, contains virtually no lactose due to its extensive aging process. Cottage cheese and ricotta do contain some lactose, but in much smaller amounts than milk. If you know you are lactose intolerant, I recommend starting with very small portions to see how your body responds. You can also try using lactase enzyme supplements, which are widely available. Before you eat cheese, if you are managing high blood pressure, you will want to be mindful of the sodium content. Parmesan is naturally higher in sodium as a result of the brine and aging process. The sodium content in cottage cheese can vary significantly from one brand to another. Some varieties contain over 400 milligrams of sodium per half cup, whereas low-sodium versions can have less than 100 milligrams. Ricotta is naturally one of the lowest sodium cheeses when you are shopping. Make it a point to look for low-sodium or no-salt added options whenever they are available. And remember to balance your cheese consumption with an abundance of fresh fruits and vegetables, which are rich in potassium and can help counteract the effects of sodium. For those of you who are monitoring your cholesterol levels, I have some reassuring information. Recent large-scale studies that have followed thousands of people have demonstrated that the consumption of cheese, when it is part of an overall balanced diet, does not significantly increase the risk of heart disease in most individuals. The critical factors are portion control and selecting the right types of cheese. Adhere to the serving sizes we've discussed, and consider opting for lower-fat choices like part-skim ricotta or low-fat cottage cheese if you are especially concerned about fat intake. If you take blood-thinning medications, such as warfarin Coumadin, it is very important to maintain a consistent intake of cheese from one day to the next. Cheese contains vitamin K, which plays a role in blood clotting and can interfere with these medications if your intake fluctuates dramatically. The solution is not to eliminate cheese from your diet, but rather to eat it consistently and to inform your physician that you are including cheese as a regular part of your diet so they can adjust your medication dosage accordingly. Finally, for anyone with kidney disease or any level of reduced kidney function, a high-protein diet can be problematic if you have any known kidney issues. It is absolutely essential that you speak with your doctor before you make any significant increase in your protein intake, whether it's from cheese or any other source. Now, let's consolidate all of this information into a practical action plan that you can begin to implement today. I'm going to guide you through the exact steps for incorporating these 3 potent cheeses into your daily regimen to achieve the maximum muscle-building benefits. Begin by revolutionizing your breakfast, transforming it into a muscle-building meal. Within 1 hour of waking, consume half a cup to a full cup of cottage cheese. You can mix it with fresh berries to add antioxidants and a touch of natural sweetness. Alternatively, if your tastes run more savory, combine it with chopped tomatoes and fresh herbs. If cottage cheese doesn't appeal to you initially, try spreading ricotta on whole grain toast, finished with a drizzle of honey and a sprinkle of cinnamon. The primary objective is to consume 25 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast to ignite your body's muscle-building processes for the day. For your midday meal, discover creative ways to add parmesan to whatever you're already eating. Grate a generous ounce over your salad, your soup, or the contents of your sandwich. The deep, savory flavor not only enhances other foods, but also makes your meals more satiating. If you're having a lighter lunch, think about adding ricotta as a spread or as a base for a dip with fresh vegetables. Remember, your goal is to get another 25 to 30 grams of protein at this meal to sustain steady support for your muscles. At dinner, employ cheese strategically to elevate the protein content of your evening meal. If you're having pasta, mix ricotta into the sauce to make it creamy and protein-dense. If you're eating a side of vegetables, top them liberally with freshly grated parmesan. If your main course already provides ample protein from a source like meat or fish, you might only need a small amount of cheese, or you could save it for a later evening snack. Keep these muscle-building cheeses accessible for snacks as well. Small, single-serving containers of cottage cheese, pre-portioned ricotta, or small chunks of parmesan can deliver quick nutrition after physical activity or between meals. When you feel your energy lagging, imagine you spend just 10 minutes performing some simple exercises, standing up from and sitting down in a chair 10 times, doing 10 push-ups against a wall, and lifting your arms up and down with light hand weights, or even a couple of water bottles. This gentle routine might take you only 10 minutes to complete. If you follow this brief activity with a snack of cottage cheese or a meal that includes parmesan or ricotta, your muscles will utilize that protein far more effectively than if you had eaten the cheese while remaining sedentary all day. It's as if the exercise awakens your muscles, making them more receptive to the nutrients you provide. I suggest keeping a simple journal for the first couple of weeks. Make a note of which cheeses you ate, the quantity, and the time of day you had them. After 2 weeks, begin to pay close attention to any changes in your energy levels, how you feel when performing daily activities, or your general sense of strength after 30 days have passed. You may begin to notice that tasks like carrying in groceries or getting up from low chairs feel a little bit easier. By the 90-day mark, you should be able to observe significant improvements in your muscle strength and your overall physical capabilities. As we draw our time together to a close, allow me to provide you with clear, specific action steps you can take starting today to embark on your muscle-building journey with cheese. First, take a trip to your local grocery store and purchase all 3 of the cheeses we have discussed: cottage cheese, a block of authentic Parmesan, and ricotta cheese. Buy a sufficient quantity for at least 1 week so you have the opportunity to experiment with various ways of eating them and can discover what you enjoy the most. Second, take a moment to calculate your personal daily protein requirement using the simple formula I shared with you earlier. Write this number down and place it somewhere. You will see it every day, perhaps on your refrigerator, to serve as a constant reminder of your goal. Third, plan out your meals for tomorrow, ensuring that each meal contains 25 to 30 grams of protein, with at least one of our 3 powerhouse cheeses incorporated into the plan. Fourth, if you are not currently engaged in any form of physical activity, start with just 5 minutes of simple movements. This could be as basic as standing up and sitting down from a chair, performing push-ups against a wall, or lifting light weights or water bottles. Plan to do this just 2 or 3 times this week. There's no need to feel overwhelmed. Fifth, circle a date on your calendar that is 90 days from today. That is the day when you should take a moment to formally assess how you feel, how much stronger you've become, and what changes you've noticed in your ability to navigate your daily life. Many people are genuinely astonished by the transformation they can achieve in just 3 months. Remember, the loss of muscle is not an inescapable consequence of growing older. With these 3 cheeses integrated as a part of your daily diet, and combined with the strategies I have shared with you today, you can successfully maintain and even rebuild your muscle mass well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. The science supporting this is unambiguous, the approach is straightforward, and the potential for real, positive change is undeniable. But possessing knowledge without taking action will not benefit you. The critical question now is whether you will take that initial step. Will you purchase cottage cheese and have it for breakfast tomorrow morning? Will you grate fresh Parmesan over your lunch? Will you make a commitment to 90 days of consistent cheese consumption to discover what is truly possible for your body? I have faith that you will, because I believe that every person deserves to age with strength, confidence, and independence. These 3 simple cheeses can serve as your dedicated allies on that journey. Use them wisely, use them consistently, and prepare to be amazed at how your body responds. Your muscles are ready and waiting for the nutrients they desperately need to rebuild and grow stronger. With cottage cheese, Parmesan, and ricotta in your corner, you possess everything you need to succeed. It is never too late to start building muscle, and now you know exactly how to do it. Thank you for investing this time with me today. I wish you the best of health, strength, and many more years of independence and vitality ahead. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up.